is made in America.
Our next guest knows a thing or two about taking on the woke mob and calling out media bias. Justine Brooke Murray is a political commentator and video host for the Media Research Center, regularly bringing the facts to national TV. So she even served in the White House during President Trump's first administration. Let's welcome Justine to the show. Hi, Justine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm great. I want to dive right in and start with the burning question. You were a White House alum. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that was like working with President Trump?
Yes, certainly. So I was an intern. So even as an intern, they had us do so many things, so many activities every day. I actually worked on the college campus front. And this was an idea that I had pitched as an intern. We wanted to gather up a lot of professors who were being persecuted for their beliefs. This was back in 2020. So it was the last couple of months of the Trump administration. And this was right after the BLM mob. They actually made lists of professors to dox, to harass, to try to get universities to fire. That picture right there was me standing with the president as he signed an executive order defending campus free speech. Universities who were caught censoring professors and students, they will lose their federal funding. And that remains true today. And I compiled a list of professors who were being persecuted the most. I sent it over to my bosses, and we actually had a meeting. It was at the Department of Education. I was there. It was this ribbon cutting for a hotline. So if you're being discriminated against for your views on campus, you can call this hotline, and the university would be investigated.
That sounds like some incredible work. And I know that I have a couple friends that also worked in the administration, and they all said that, again, when you get into a conversation with President Trump, he's locked in. He wants to know your stance, no matter who you are, whether you're an intern or a seasoned vet there. So was that your experience as well?
Certainly. He's a New Yorker. He's one of us. And what I love about this administration, and actually it's something that my parents, who are native New Jerseyans, noticed, is that he speaks so casually. And everyone else in the administration, they don't use this flowery elitist language. They just get to the point. We're not going to call bums on the street who are harassing women in New York or in DC. We're not going to call them, confused persons. We're going to call them out for what they're doing. We're going to call people out who are committing crimes. We're going to call illegal aliens out for what they're doing, sex trafficking women, doing the most disgusting deeds that you could even think of. And we're going to put their faces on the lawn of the White House. We're not going to kind of tiptoe around it or walk on eggshells to not offend the worst kind of people who have come into our country illegally and committed crimes.
Absolutely. I think the marketing is so different this time around. I also think with the new media that they're giving opportunities to so many people, I think that's a new look, and I like that as well. I want to ask you sort of a tough question. So you worked in the administration, but what are your thoughts on the Epstein list? Like, do you have more thoughts on Pam Bondi? Will we ever see the list? I know on the right, as you probably know, this is a controversial issue. Some people want the list. They will not sleep until they get the list. Other people feel, it doesn't affect my day-to-day. Is it great? No. But what's your take on all of this?
We need to see the list. But I think the legacy media and even social media outlets who claim to be new media, they're using this as a distraction. How come President Biden, if there's a list, how come President Biden never released it? Now suddenly leftists care about the Epstein list, suddenly care, and they're blaming Trump for not releasing it when they were the ones who kind of like shoved it under the rug for all of these years. If all these conservatives were on that list, if they were all committing these horrible crimes too, then how come President Biden never released it? How come the legacy media never pressured him to release it when he was in office? Because if President Trump is on that list and all these conservatives who we're told we're supposed to hate and we're supposed to see equally as sex offenders or allegedly, then how come they didn't release the list when they were in office? And we know all they wanted to do was condemn President Trump. President Biden, all he wanted to do was to use the justice system to go after his political opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think people, I get wanting to push for justice. You know, with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, is she changing locations? We don't know. Maybe she is. Is she getting a pardon? We hope not. I feel like someone's got to go down. If we're not getting a list and she's, you know, going to get off, that doesn't work. That doesn't work for me. I don't think it's going to work for anyone else. I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but I'd like to move on to the Democrats a little bit here, because I want to get your take on why they're holding so strong to their woke ideology. I mean, we're seeing this time and time again all day in the media. America has shown in the culture in more ways than not, and with politicians literally stepping away from their own party, saying that they have no faith in it. Why are they still sticking to their guns and pushing the woke ideology forward and thinking that it's going to work?
They think that banging their head against the wall 3 times will give them the same results that has not come into fruition. But I also believe that it has to do with the fact that for years, for at least 4 years, actually, and then even more, started out before BLM, they were told that whatever they said, their woke ideology was the thing that went. It was adopted by the legacy media. It was adopted in our entertainment industry. Corporate wokeness ran amok. If you weren't woke, if you didn't believe that men could become women, you were fired from your jobs. You were canceled. Cancel culture was something, it was a monster created by the left. And they thought that would continue. They never thought that people would actually wake up. They never thought that the pendulum could swing. And the pendulum always swings. That's why you after a Republican administration, maybe you'll get a Democrat president, or after a Democrat administration, you'll get a Republican president. But they thought that whatever they said was the law of the land. And they really tried to beat this ideology into our heads for so long, hoping that people wouldn't wake up. But it actually had the opposite effect. It caused people to get fed up that the Overton window of thought was closing so far to the point you couldn't even say anything. People don't like that. It pushed a lot of people to the center. You spoke about Bill Maher on your show. Bill Maher, someone who we saw as an extreme Democrat just a couple of years ago. Now he's being viewed as this extremist simply because he believes in free speech.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I don't know if you saw earlier in the show, but I'm planning his coming out party. Like, we are very close to becoming MAGA, and I'm going to be first in line throwing the party. So this is an open invitation. If he is watching, please come on my show. Would love to have you. I get a lot of flack for talking about him, but literally, he's going out. Ever since he met with President Trump, they had a dinner. Listen, he's red-pilled, and there's no other way to say it. So I want to thank you for coming on. We're going to have you back at the end of the show with group chat with the rest of our guests. Coming up, we take a look at what our favorite president has been up to in the last week in Tracking Trump.